In Mark 1:3, we have a quotation from the Old Testament about making ready the way of Yahweh, and it's being applied to Jesus. Now, very interestingly, Adnan was talking about, well, they never would have understood the doctrine of the Trinity. The funny thing is, the New Testament writers, who all confess there's one true God, took that one name Yahweh and they applied it to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, and differentiated between each one. What were they trying to communicate? They believed the Shema. They weren't denying the Shema. And yet they applied that one name of Yahweh to Father, Son, and to the Holy Spirit.
But in his book, The Forgotten Trinity, he writes, note immediately that we're not saying there are three beings that are one being, 3Bs equals 1B, or three persons that are one person, 3Ps into 1P. Such would be self-contradictory. When speaking of the Trinity, we need to realize that we're talking about 1 what and 3 whos. So it looks something like 1 what equals 3 whos. We dare not mix up the whats and whos regarding the Trinity. But in that video we just saw, James White claims that the New Testament writers are actually giving us 3 Yahwehs. So let's see how the math works here. So we have 3 whos equals 1 what. That's the historically accepted, standard, orthodox so-called position, where you have the Father equals the first person, the Son, the second person, the Spirit, the third person. And that equals what James White writes, 3Ps into 1 being. So 3 whos into 1 what. So Trinitarians were very aware of the so-called modalist or Sabellian view of God, where the one individual, one person of God is manifested as Father, Son, Holy Spirit. So they thought they could avoid one heresy by really creating another heresy. Because now, the one God of Israel, that Jehovah, the one Father, is no longer a who, an individual, but this impersonal being, 1 what. Yet, like I said, modern-day Trinitarians commit the very same error James White writes about in his book, where 3Ps equals 1P. So James White says that the New Testament writers applied the name of Yahweh to the Father, the Son, and the Spirit equally. But isn't that exactly what he said would be self-contradictory?